Taking a gander at what we just accomplished in Word, we find that everything is formatted much better. We don't have any overlapping footnotes, our paragraphs and bullets are lining up. As I hover over the images, I can see that the alternate descriptions we defined in Word have been exposed to Acrobat. But let's take a look at how doing all that work in Word has affected the tag structure in the document. Over on the left side of Acrobat DC, there's an arrow icon in the middle of the border. I'll click that to expose a set of icons. This area is called the navigation pane. From top to bottom, I have icons for pages, bookmarks, and attachments. I need to turn on the tag pane to look at the document structure. Right-click anywhere on the navigation pane. From the context menu, choose the last option, Tags. The Tags pane expands. Under the label Tags at the top of this pane, choose the first icon, which is the Tags options. Select Highlight Content. Now click the expansion arrow next to the tag icon to expose the tags in the document. When people talk about the logical structure of the PDF, they're speaking about how information is presented in a way that tells the user this is how the document should be read. The order of the tags represents how the information in our document is going to be explained to users with assistive technology. After we export it to PDF, we're to assign the first tag that contains all the other tags. This tag appears to be a section tag. The section tag is a tag that is native to PDF, so it has been given its PDF tag name of SECT or SECT. The tag that holds another tag is called a parent tag. All the tags inside of the parent tag are called child tags. Notice that when we select the section tag, all its children are also selected by default. We know this is happening because each of the content within our PDF have been selected with faint blue boxes. The tags that are collapsed under the word tags are in an area we call the tag tree. If we select the word tags and then press the down arrow on the keyboard, we can move through the tags that are currently collapsed. This process is known as walking the tree or walking the tags. The content in the document is highlighted when we have a specific tag in focus. The logical structure of the document is what determines the logical reading order. Let's walk the tree to get a better understanding of how this document is going to be read to someone using a screen reader. When I think of the logical reading order, I think of it as though I'm talking to my mother on the phone. I wouldn't call my mom and say, "Hey, the office of the president has a seal. I know where he works. He wrote a memo, and it has some signatures. It's actually written by a couple of other people, and this is what it's about. But first, let me talk to you about a bunch of links, and I'm not going to tell you why they're relevant." She'd disown me, or at the very least have me committed. Instead, I'd want to tell my mom that I have a memo from the Office of Management and Budget that's written from some important people. I know the memo is important because they signed it. It was written in 2010, and this is what it's about. So you can think about the logical reading order like you're describing to someone else what the most important information is to someone who might not have the actual information in front of them. A properly tagged PDF helps to convey this information to assistive technology, so our job when making a quality, accessible PDF document is going to involve setting it up to do just that. Let's talk a bit about some important PDF concepts to make sure we do this without pulling out our hair too much. Tags in the PDF structure appear as specific icons. There are specific tags in the document that have special icons for some of them. For example, the paragraph tag is represented by a paragraph mark. Section tags look like a page with a box highlighting a portion of text. Table tags look like a grid. Table header tags resemble a highlighted cell on the top row of the grid. Table row tags resemble a highlighted row within the grid. Table data tags represent a single highlighted cell within the grid. Now, I don't know why these particular tags get special treatment, because it's not as though they're the most important tags in a PDF. I suspect they're given special icons because they are the most common tags used in most documents. But regardless of the reason, the different icons don't mean anything special. The important things about tags to note are the following. Tags are always wrapped in pointy brackets. They are case sensitive. They don't use spaces. And unlike other computer languages, there aren't any closing tags. Any other tag in the document receives a default tag that looks like a sales tag. Tags are used to hold content, and without content, they're known as empty tags. In this example, we've got all the tags that have unique icons here, and none of them have content inside of them. You can move tags around and reposition them in the tag structure by clicking a tag and dragging it somewhere else. When you position the mouse over an icon, a black line appears below it. The same thing happens when you hover over the tag name. This is to let you know that the cursor is able to select the tag. Grab the TH tag and don't let go of the left mouse button. Move the mouse up with the icon tag and move it up the tree. Note that it's giving you a tiny black arrow in between tags as you move along the structure. If you release your mouse button, the tag will be dropped in the marked location where the arrow is pointing. I'll drop it below the sec tag. Sometimes Acrobat tries to be helpful and gives you a line and an arrow so you can get a better idea of where you're putting the tag. You can also nest a tag inside another tag. For example, I'll click the sec tag and drag it over the p tag. If I move it over the name of the tag itself, the arrow moves from beneath the icon further inside the tag. This tells us that it's going to be placed under the p tag. After we nest the sec tag inside the p tag, an arrow appears next to the p tag showing that it has a child. From here, we can nest tags directly under the sec tag, making them children of the p tag. You can make other tags have children too, like putting this table header under the table tag. When moving tags around in a PDF, the safest way to move them is to move the actual tags and always put the tag under another tag. You need to be very careful when moving content around because bad things can happen if you move something in the wrong place. Content sits in an icon that looks like one of those boxes that files get stored in. If you don't create accessible PDFs, you'll find out exactly what these boxes look like because they use them in law offices all the time. They have an actual term, but people who make accessible PDFs like to refer to them as banker's boxes. So from here on, I'll only be referring to them as banker's boxes. When content is associated with one of these, they have the icon and the actual content written out next to it. In a tagged PDF, these banker's boxes must be associated to tags as children of a tag. The tag defines what the content is. When we need to move content around, it gets a little scary. If you move a tag, you are presented with that same right-facing arrow showing you where it's going to go. You can place a tag in between two banker's boxes, effectively splitting the content. In this example, my P tag holding Daniel Gordon's name and his title is interrupting the H1 tag. It would be read, Memorandum from Daniel I. Gordon, Administrator for Federal Procurement Policy for Chief Acquisition Officers and yada yada yada. There are times when you need to place tags between content like this, but placing a P tag inside an H1 is really just to show you it's possible. You can move it back out from the content of the H1, so now it's its own parent. You can also move the content itself under different tags. I'm going to move Daniel's title, making it a child of the H1. When I move it under the H1, I'll position the cursor over the text of the tag itself. Note the underline showing me that that's where it's going to go. If I want to reorder the content order itself, I'll select the content I want to move and then position the cursor just below the banker's box I want to have it sit under. A common, unfortunate, and miserable mistake to make is taking the content and dropping it while the cursor is hovering over the text of the actual content and not the banker's box. When I do this, the content I was moving disappears. It's no longer in the tag tree and it loses its role as content I can use unless I take steps to fix that. Worse, I can get rid of complete parent and children by doing the same thing. If I drop a tag regardless of it containing anything, it also disappears. So right now you're probably wondering why I just don't undo it. This brings us to things you must remember when working with a PDF. When working with tags in Acrobat, there is no undo. Be careful when you delete things. It's funny how we get so used to deleting things when we know we can just undo something profoundly stupid. But a simple delete could cost you hours of work on some documents. And this leads me to the most crucial, important, vital rule of working in Acrobat. Save often. More often than not, you will screw something up and need to reopen it to the last working copy before you made that stupid mistake you just can't undo. It can literally be the difference between a couple minutes and days of work. So again, save often. On a Mac, it's Command S, and on a PC, it's Control and S. Or just go to File and Save. But really, who has time to go all the way up there? If it wasn't obvious by now, I'm going to show you how to move tags around to provide better semantics to the document. When I was starting out with PDFs back in the day, I was tagging them like I would markup HTML, thinking that nesting tags was the right way to go. Little did I know, nesting tags in a PDF requires you to tag them a certain way, because otherwise it becomes a type of structure called strongly structured documents. In a strongly structured PDF, headings are represented by the H tag. It doesn't matter which heading level it is, it's always just the H tag. The idea is that it would control the content directly under it and allow the screen reader to pick up the heading level based upon where in the document the child heading is nested. Now, in a weakly structured document, you'll have actual labeled heading levels because all the tags just get dropped under the root tag. As the screen reader hits every tag, it knows the heading level changes when a new heading level is announced. In a strongly structured document, the H tags would control the tags associated with it. Like for example, this heading here. Since it's nested under the first H tag above, this makes a second level heading, and it's not enumerated like in this weakly structured tag tree. Since the following headings are 3 down, all nested together here, they're all the same level of content, making these the third level. While strongly structured documents look tidy, I'm not going to be showing you how to make them in this tutorial. Screen readers are apparently notoriously lazy and don't want to have to figure out which level an H tag is based on where it sits in the document. They also do a lousy job of picking up on the PDF tags that are organized too neatly in the file structure. So, in my opinion, whenever you make a tag PDF, you should always make it a weakly structured document. When you do this, you must never ever mix the plain old H tags with the heading tags that are enumerated. It will confuse the hell out of assistive technology, and people will make fun of you behind your back.